Welcome to The Explainer. You know, we spend so much of our lives learning, but have you ever stopped to think about how we learn? Today, we're going to break down the different systems at play. We'll look at the one we're all familiar with, and another one that honestly might be even more crucial in today's world.
All right, so to guide us through this, we're actually drawing from a really fantastic educational module put together by the Government of India's Ministry of Human Resource Development. It gives us a great framework for understanding these big ideas.
Just take a second and think about that. Was it baking sourdough bread? Maybe learning a bit of code? Or finally figuring out that new instrument? Whatever it was, and however you learned it, whether it was in a class, on YouTube, or just from a friend, it actually fits perfectly into this larger system we're about to explore.
So here's what we've got on tap. First, we'll quickly cover the 3 ways we learn. Then, we'll dive into what I'm calling the rigid ladder and the flexible web. We'll put them head to head, and then wrap up with why this all really matters for lifelong learning.
All right, first things first. Let's get our definitions sorted out. Because, education isn't just one single thing. It's actually broken down officially into 3 distinct categories.
Okay, so you've got your informal education. That's basically just life, right? Learning from experience, from your family, from just being out in the world. Then you have formal education. That's the one we all think of. School, college, university, the whole structured system. But then there's this third one, non-formal education. It's still organized, but it happens outside that traditional school system. And honestly, that's the one we're really going to focus on today, because it's a real game changer.
So let's start with the one we're all familiar with. I want you to think of formal education as a rigid ladder. It's this idea that you have to climb one rung, then the next, always in a very specific order.
And I mean, look at the official definition. It's all about structure, hierarchy, and chronology. You start at the bottom, you go through each grade, you can't skip steps, you follow a fixed curriculum, and the main goal, get that certificate or degree at the top. It's a very linear path.
But a ladder that's rigid has some serious limitations, right? Our source points out that it can be super bookish, totally ignoring the amazing real-world skills a person might already have. It's often a one-size-fits-all approach, which we know doesn't work for everyone. Plus, it can be expensive and inaccessible, and it creates this dynamic where the teacher is the giver of knowledge and the student is just a passive receiver.
And wow, the source material does not hold back. This quote is pretty scathing. It basically says that when a system gets this rigid, you can end up in a situation where everyone's just pretending. Teachers pretend to teach, students pretend to learn. It's a powerful critique about a potential disconnect in the system.
Okay, so if that's the rigid ladder with all its potential problems, what's the alternative? This is where we introduce a totally different idea. Forget the ladder. I want you to picture a flexible web. So this idea of non-formal education, or NFE for short, isn't brand new. It really started to take off back in the 70s. It came from this big aha moment, led by groups like UNESCO, who realized, hey, wait a minute, why does learning have to be stuck inside a school building between certain hours for only a certain age?
Now, this is super important. NFE isn't just random, chaotic learning. It's still organized. There's a plan. But the huge, massive difference is that it's built around the learner, not the institution. The goals and the curriculum are a direct response to what a specific group of people actually needs to learn right here, right now.
And this is where the power of that web metaphor really shines. A web is flexible, right? It can stretch and adapt. NFE can happen anywhere, at any time. It's centered around the student, it's participatory, teachers and learners are partners, and it's usually focused on tangible, practical skills you can use right away.
Okay, so now that we have our 2 models, the rigid ladder and the flexible web, let's put them side by side and do a real head-to-head comparison.
Just looking at the basic structure, the difference is night and day. In the formal system, everything is pre-decided for you. Admission rules, where you go, when you have to show up, it's compulsory. With non-formal, it's the total opposite. The learners help decide the requirements. It can happen in a community center, a workshop, anywhere, and you're there because you choose to be.
And that difference goes all the way down to the methodology. The formal ladder is hierarchical. The curriculum is fixed, the teacher is the authority. But the non-formal web is democratic. It's participatory. The curriculum is flexible, and the approach is friendly. Everyone is on a more equal footing, working together toward a goal. It's a totally different vibe.
So, okay,
We've got the ladder, we've got the web. But what's the big takeaway here? Let's zoom out and look at why this non-formal system is so incredibly essential for all of us.
So you might be asking, who is this really for? And you might think it's just for a small group of people, but the reality is its reach is absolutely massive.
I mean, think about it. It's a lifeline for school dropouts who want a second chance. It's for adults who never had the opportunity to learn to read. It's for young people who need specific job skills to get hired. It's for workers, for the differently abled, really, for anyone who doesn't fit neatly onto that rigid ladder. And you know what? It's also for professionals who are already successful but need to upskill to stay relevant. It serves just about everyone.
And that's really the bottom line. Non-formal education isn't just some alternative or a plan B. By meeting people exactly where they are, with exactly what they need, it becomes this incredibly powerful engine for personal growth, for economic productivity, and for creating a society that's just, well, more equitable for all of us.
So, that leaves us with a big question to think about. In a world that is changing faster than ever, how are you going to choose to learn next? Because relying only on that one rigid ladder we climbed years ago, well, that's just not going to cut it anymore. The real key to thriving is learning how to navigate that flexible web, always ready to grow and adapt.